Time now for the 10-minute war. A little homage to the 10-year war with our good friend Mark Rogers, fellow broadcaster here on YouTube with a fantastic college football channel of his own, the voice of college football stringers and correspondents covering teams all over the country. And when he's not busy being a rational observer of college football, he's also a bucknut. It is good to have you back on the show, Mark. How you been, brother?
Doing well, Steve. Enjoying this college football season and the collision course that we are on.
We are on a collision course, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But before we get to football, I got to get your take on what happened after the game, Michigan and Michigan State. We just showed some of the video. I just laid some of it out for the audience. That was the 600th game ever played at Michigan Stadium in a single tunnel. Never before did someone wave their helmet as a potential weapon of lethal force. There'd never been an 8-mile-like curb stomp, a scene out of, Boys in the Hood or Rednecks Are Us. I mean, that's never happened ever before. And I think that strong penalties need to come down on all the parties involved so that it will never happen again. Jamon Green, who's the player you see in the ESPN tunnel video coming up the tunnel there, he does that after every game, by the way, because his father's a trucker, has limited time off. He drives up from Texas to see him and his twin brother, who also plays for the team. And so he does that to get out of the locker room as fast as he can before the rest of the players are in there. So that wasn't some smack talk attempt. Not that that should even matter, but that was one of the things. Well, what are they doing in the tunnel? Well, this is what he does after every game. Okay. And so we have seen some suspensions. If you watch the videos, you clearly see Jacoby Windman, who's one of their best players. You see him put his helmet back on and then join the melee as if he was going to be in disguise and no one was going to know. Okay. I mean, I just think this behavior, a strong precedent has to be set for this precedent to never happen again. But what is your take? Maybe I'm too close to it.
Well, it's hard for me not to see what happened and then relate it to other incidents that we see in society out on the street where we allow, in this case, 18 to 22-year-olds to go and vandalize and, intimidate retail workers and just go in and act like complete punks. And that was a punk act to the nth degree, just despicable, disgusting in every possible way. And yes, they need to be held accountable to the nth degree. And yes, I believe in forgiveness. I believe in restoration at a certain point. But football, take away whatever needs to be done. That restoration, that can be done maybe at another university. That's up to Michigan State to decide in regards to down the road reinstating them first as students and then as athletes. But yeah, the punishment has to be harsh. These student athletes come onto campus and they're protected to a certain extent from the real world, but to be in college is to be molded to be a young man and to be a professional. And so part of that is you reap what you sow and you have to pay the consequences for your actions. So they have to be taught that as well during this college experience, because you do not do that to another individual. It's just beyond horrible. And the response by Mel Tucker just fell far short in so many instances. I thought he was more apologizing to Michigan State than he was to Michigan. He was apologizing to alumni and students and boosters and fans and the administration. Sure, I get that. Yes, your team embarrassed your school and everyone connected to Michigan State. But let's speak to the victims. There needs to be not that this is going to make a wrong right or backtrack and change history, but there needs to be an apology, a personal apology, not a statement. There needs to be a personal apology from the administration, from the athletics director, and especially from Mel Tucker to those two Michigan football players.
In all your time following college football, and you're one of the few people whose Rain Man-like recall of this sport and its history rivals my own or maybe even exceeds it, can you ever recall anything like that? I have never seen. I've seen ugly stuff on the field. I've never seen anything like that. But can you recall anything ever like that?
I can't. The first thing that comes to mind is that NBA.
The Malice at the Palace. Yeah.
That involved fans, and it was a completely different situation, but I remember working at ESPN that night and everything had to be blown apart in regards to programming to cover that incident. And I, of course, had never seen anything like that. Again, those were fans being involved. You know, there was a horrible fight on the field. And again, you disclaimed that by saying on the field. And those are all the incidents that I can think of. South Carolina Clemson had a horrendous one during the Lou Holtz era at South Carolina.
Wasn't there a bowl game with one of Mike Leach's teams, right? That kind of a fight on the, I can't remember which of the teams Mike Leach was coaching at the time, but I think that sounds familiar. Maybe it was even Mississippi State. I don't remember, but it was something like that just a few years ago.
Also just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, that's again why this is so unprecedented, and an example has to be set here. Has to be set so that it just doesn't become learned behavior and happen again.